what if the greatest financial decision you will ever make has absolutely nothing to do with the stock market,
Right.
nothing to do with real estate, and literally everything to do with how you treat your partner?
Yeah, it's a wild thought.
It is. So welcome to the Money Cheat Code podcast. We are so thrilled you are sitting down with us today. I am Maya.
And I'm Kai.
And we are going to be your guides for this deep dive. For centuries, there has been this really widespread idea that marriage and wealth are fundamentally linked.
Yes.
But we're not just going to sit here and trade cliches or rely on old adages. We are going to validate these ancient sayings using modern neuroscience, behavioral economics, and just cold, hard data.
The fun stuff.
The really fun stuff. And I want to be clear right up front. Whether you are single, casually dating, married for 3 decades, or recently divorced, the principles we are covering today apply directly to you.
100%.
We are talking about the basic architecture of human partnership and how that literally scales into financial power.
Right. And if we look historically, it is fascinating to see how different cultures across the globe figured this out, centuries before behavioral economics was even a recognized field.
Yeah.
There's this global consensus that the quality of your partnership dictates your prosperity. Like in the Yoruba tradition in West Africa, there is a saying that roughly translates to, a good wife is good money.
Wow, yeah. And in the Islamic tradition, it's widely quoted that the best among you are those who are best to their wives.
Exactly.
And if we look at Hindu philosophy, the wife is referred to as Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. The implication there is that how she is treated directly determines whether abundance is allowed to enter the home.
It's everywhere. Even in the East Asian Confucian tradition, there is this core foundational belief that when the family unit is in harmony, everything around it prospers. Across completely different continents, varied belief systems, and totally different eras of history.
They all independently landed on the exact same conclusion.
Right. And those cultures were observing a very raw economic reality. They saw the tangible output of household harmony. But let's bring this into the 21st century.
Let's do it. Let's look at the brutal modern math.
Yes. Let's talk about the baseline cost when a partnership completely breaks down. The notorious divorce tax.
Ugh, the divorce tax. It is a staggering financial cliff. Just to give you the numbers, in the United States, the average cost of a contested divorce currently ranges from $15,000 to $30,000 in legal fees alone.
Just in legal fees?
Just legal fees. That is just the price of admission to legally separate your lives. That 30 grand does not account for the forced liquidation of shared assets.
Or the sudden loss of dual income power.
Exactly. Or the cost of funding 2 entirely separate households. Or just the massive emotional toll that completely derails your earning potential.
Yeah, and there is a landmark, incredibly detailed study out of Ohio State University that put a terrifying number on that toll. They tracked wealth accumulation over time, and they found that people who go through a divorce see their personal wealth drop by an average of 77%.
77%. Just think about that for a second. Think about what a 77% drop in your net worth actually looks like.
It's devastating. That is decades of saving, investing, and planning simply wiped off the board. Gone.
Meanwhile, that exact same Ohio State study revealed that people who marry and stay married accumulate nearly double the wealth of those who never marry or who eventually divorce. So the math points to a very clear reality here.
Which is?
Preventing the breakdown by treating your partner well is exponentially cheaper than the cure.
Exponentially cheaper. And beyond the catastrophic legal fees and, dividing up the bank accounts, there is something researchers call work-family spillover.
Oh, this is fascinating.
It really is. When your home life is toxic, it acts like a slow leak in your career momentum. Chronic conflict at home leads to lower concentration at the office, a higher rate of errors, and it completely drains your creativity.
You just don't have the bandwidth. You stop raising your hand for new projects. You miss out on promotions. Your business decisions become reactive instead of proactive. Your overall career growth just stunts.
Right. And research from Kansas State University highlights what actually triggers this spillover. They found that arguing about money is the absolute #1 predictor of divorce.
Number 1, outranking everything else.
Outranking disagreements about children, chores, even in-laws. And I have had to do a lot of personal reflection on this in my own life. These money fights, they're rarely actually about the dollars and cents on a spreadsheet.
What are they about then?
They're usually respect fights wearing a financial disguise.
A respect fight in a financial disguise. That is so accurate. But how does that actually masquerade as a money fight in a typical household? What does that look like?
Okay, Picture a couple arguing over a $50 takeout charge, or, say, a seemingly random online purchase. On the surface, it looks like a budgeting issue.
Right.
But underneath, one partner is actually saying, hey, we agreed to save for a down payment, and you unilaterally decided your immediate want was more important than our shared future.
Wow. Yeah, it is an argument about feeling unheard, unvalued, or controlled.
Exactly. The $50 is just the catalyst. The root cause is a perceived lack of respect for the partnership's shared goals.
And when partners actually feel valued and respected, those exact same money conversations shift entirely. They go from being combative to deeply collaborative. Which really brings us to the absolute core of our deep dive today.
Yes.
We are going to break down the 4 financial superpowers of a solid partnership. These are the documented scientific ways that a healthy relationship literally alters your financial trajectory.
Let's get into it.
Superpower number 1, emotional stability unlocks financial focus. So, how does a bad argument actually change the physical structure of how we make decisions?
The neuroscience behind this is wild. Researchers at the University of California have mapped out exactly what happens to our brains in a high-conflict relationship.
Okay.
When you are experiencing chronic relationship stress, say you are constantly walking on eggshells at home, your body responds by flooding your system with cortisol, the stress hormone.
And that cortisol immediately activates your amygdala. For those who might not be familiar with the different brain centers, the amygdala is your brain's primal threat response center. It is the alarm system that evolved to keep us safe from predators.
Right. It is designed to save you from a tiger, not a sarcastic comment over breakfast.
Exactly.
But when your amygdala is constantly firing, it requires an immense amount of energy. To get that energy, it literally pulls resources away from your prefrontal cortex, impairing its function.
The prefrontal cortex being the CEO of your brain. It is the area responsible for long-term planning, strategic thinking, impulse control, complex financial decision-making.
All the heavy lifting.
All of it. So if we translate that biology into everyday life, a stressful relationship physically shrinks your brain's capacity to make smart money choices. You are operating in a pure survival state rather than a wealth-building state.
You cannot chart a 10-year investment strategy or calmly analyze a fluctuating stock portfolio when your nervous system firmly believes it's being chased by a bear in your own living room.
You just can't.
You become reactive. You panic sell investments. You make impulsive purchases just to get a brief hit of dopamine to feel better.
But a peaceful home does the exact opposite. It provides the neurological baseline required for patience, delayed gratification, and measured risk-taking. A calm home is a non-negotiable prerequisite for financial focus.
It really is non-negotiable.
And if a peaceful brain allows you to plan, the math gets incredibly interesting when 2 peaceful brains start planning together. That leads us directly into superpower number 2. Partnership multiplies financial capacity.
Yes.
When you treat your partner with respect, they transition from being a bystander to being your financial co-architect.
I love that term, financial co-architect.
It's so true, though. Research from the Journal of Family and Economic Issues demonstrates that when both partners feel equally valued, they actively contribute to household financial planning. They look for ways to optimize the budget, they seek out better savings rates, and they protect the family's assets.
Let's look at the dark side of that coin, though. When a partner feels disrespected, dismissed, or financially marginalized, they inevitably disengage.
Yeah.
Sometimes this leads to financial infidelity. They might start hiding purchases or making independent, impulsive spending decisions as a way to claw back some sense of autonomy. Or they simply withhold their support for their partner's career ambitions.
Which hurts the whole household.
Exactly. If someone is bulldozing their partner during financial discussions, they might think they are taking charge, but they are actually amputating half of their household's financial intellect.
And the math of a healthy relationship is not linear at all. 1 + 1 does not equal 2. In a healthy, aligned partnership, 1 + 1 = 5, or 10, or 20.
It's compounding energy.
It is. When you have 2 people who are willing to share sacrifices, pool their resources, and aim at the exact same target like paying off a mortgage early or funding a business, that mutual focus compounds over time. It functions exactly the way compound interest works in a mutual fund. It builds momentum that a single person would really struggle to match.
We have been talking a lot about what happens inside the home, but superpower number 3 looks at the outside world. Reputation and social capital open doors.
Oh, this is a big one.
This is where we connect the seemingly private romance of a relationship to the harsh public reality of business and economics. Harvard political scientist Robert Putnam has done extensive research on the concept of social capital.
Yes, his work is phenomenal.
It proves that human beings do not make economic decisions based on pure math. We make them based on complex trust signals.
Social capital is essentially the invisible grease in the wheels of society. Just think about a local business owner or a community leader. If they are known in their industry as someone who treats their spouse with dignity, transparency, and respect, that acts as a massive public trust signal.
Huge.
It communicates to the world that this person is stable, reliable, and honorable in their most private dealings. And that reputation has a tangible yield. It wins business deals, it gets loan applications approved by cautious bank managers, and it generates high-value referrals.
Because people, whether consciously or subconsciously, make a very logical leap. They think, if this person honors their most intimate, behind closed doors commitments, they are highly likely to honor this vendor contract or this investment agreement.
Right.
Character has a literal market value. How you treat your partner when you think nobody is watching eventually becomes a reputation that precedes you into every boardroom and negotiation table.
I want to frame that phrase because it is so crucial. Character has a market value.
It really does.
Moving on to superpower number 4. Psychological safety enables wealth building. This dives deep into behavioral economics. When your home is a sanctuary that heals you rather than a war zone that wounds you, it frees up a massive amount of mental bandwidth.
We talk a lot about cognitive load in behavioral psychology. Guilt, shame, resentment, and walking on eggshells. These are not just unpleasant emotions, they are heavy cognitive loads.
They weigh you down.
Think of it like having 50 tabs open on your computer's internet browser. It drains your system's memory and slows everything else down to a crawl. They consume the mental energy you desperately need to perform at your peak professionally.
Yeah.
When you have psychological safety at home, you possess what attachment theorists call a secure base.
And a secure base changes your entire risk profile. Behavioral economics shows us that people who operate from a secure base are far more likely to take calculated, wealth-generating risks.
Right.
They're the ones who finally start that side business or confidently walk into their boss's office to negotiate a raise. Or they invest in the stock market instead of just hoarding cash in a low-yield savings account out of pure anxiety.
You can only take those necessary leaps when you are not carrying the cognitive load of a miserable home life. You have the courage to take on the world because, fundamentally, that you have a safe harbor to return to if things go wrong.
You won't be mocked or berated if you fail. You will be supported. That safety net is the ultimate catalyst for financial bravery. So we have covered some incredible benefits here: emotional stability, multiplied capacity, social capital, and psychological safety. But as we look at the historical texts and ancient sayings we mentioned at the top of the deep dive, we need to analyze them impartially.
Right. We have to look at the whole picture.
There are some deeply problematic elements in how those old proverbs were originally framed that do not align with modern reality. First of all, treating your partner well should never be viewed as a financial transaction. Kindness is not a wealth strategy. It is basic human decency.
Amen to that.
The exact second that someone is kind to their partner solely to extract a financial return, it ceases to be kindness and becomes manipulation.
And the original phrasing of many of those historical proverbs also tends to completely erase a woman's financial agency. The text often frames the wife merely as a magical conduit or a lucky charm for the husband's prosperity, rather than acknowledging her as a full, capable financial partner in her own right. Looking at the reality of modern households, both partners treating each other with mutual respect creates financial advantages for the entire household unit, not just for one individual.
We also have to acknowledge the broader economic context here. Treating your partner well does not magically guarantee wealth. A good relationship cannot simply erase systemic economic inequalities.
It can't.
Access to quality education, structural opportunities, and generational starting lines play a massive role in financial outcomes. A healthy partnership is a powerful wealth multiplier, but it is not a magic wand that makes systemic barriers vanish into thin air.
That is a vital reality check. We have to view this dynamic through a lens that holds both personal responsibility and structural reality at the same time. But knowing all of the data we've covered today, the neuroscience of the amygdala, the staggering divorce tax, the behavioral economics of a secure base, how do we actually apply this to our daily lives? Let's give you the practical takeaways.
Let's get into the 4 actionable cheat codes. Cheat code number 1 is the monthly money date.
Essential.
You need to set a specific recurring time each month to review your finances together. Look at the income, the expenses, the savings rate, and the upcoming goals. The crucial element here is the framing. It is a forward-looking planning session, not a historical audit of past mistakes.
That is such an important distinction.
Couples who implement this consistently report vastly less financial conflict because they're sitting on the same side of the table attacking the math rather than sitting on opposite sides attacking each other.
All right, and cheat code number 2 is invest in appreciation. You need to treat verbal appreciation with the same seriousness and discipline that you treat your 401k contributions.
I love that.
Consistent daily acknowledgement is the greatest form of compound interest within a relationship. It is the ultimate antidote to resentment. A partner who feels truly seen and genuinely appreciated for their daily efforts is a partner who is going to show up fiercely to execute your shared financial goals.
Cheat code number 3 is early intervention. We talked about the terrifying $30,000 baseline cost of a contested divorce. Compare that figure to the cost of a few months of couples counseling.
It's a no-brainer.
You need to reframe therapy. It is not a white flag of failure. It is an incredibly high ROI investment in your household's financial stability. The longer financial resentment festers, the more expensive it gets to untangle. Address the communication breakdowns early when they're cheap to fix.
And finally, cheat code number 4 is shared identity. You have to actively shift the vocabulary and the goal setting from mine to ours. Research on goal achievement shows that couples who frame their financial targets around a shared identity are vastly more successful.
Instead of saying, I want to save for a rental property, the language shifts to, we are the kind of family that builds generational wealth.
Exactly. When the identity itself is shared, the commitment to the sacrifices required becomes almost unbreakable.
Bringing this all down to the bottom line, treating your relationship well is not just a moral imperative, though it is certainly that. It is a fundamental, highly measurable pillar of your overall financial portfolio. A peaceful, respectful partnership creates the emotional stability, the cognitive capacity, and the mutual energy that significant wealth building actually requires.
The ancestors who claimed that wealth follows a good relationship were onto something profound. They were just using cultural metaphors to describe the exact phenomena that modern neuroscientists, behavioral psychologists, and economists are proving with hard data today. Your relationship health is inextricably linked to your financial plan. You have to start managing it with that level of intentionality.
We want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to mull over as you go about your week. We have spent this time discussing how your relationship affects your own brain and your own bank account. But consider the next generation.
Yeah.
Your daily relationship behavior, how you speak to your partner under stress, how you handle financial disagreements, that is the active money script your children are watching and absorbing right now. If they carry that exact script into their own adulthood, what kind of financial future are you inheriting for them today?
That is a heavy, necessary question to sit with. The true legacy you leave behind isn't just in the trust fund or the stock portfolio. It is deeply embedded in the interpersonal dynamic they witness every single day in the kitchen.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive on the Money Cheatcode podcast. We hope you gain some serious insight into the mechanics of human partnership and wealth generation. Stay tuned for our next deep dive,